Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gloria. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today I wanted to go through all of the growth that has been happening with my plants. So kind of just like an update video for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy today's video. I'll keep this intro very short, but if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my new videos. And yeah, let's get started. So first I'm going to go through my Hoyas. So I have two Hoyas that I want to show you. And first one is the Hoya Obobada. So if you guys remember in my previous video, I did chop the obovata, which is this guy over here. And I chopped it right over here to propagate. So that's where the little nub is. And since then, it's grown this beautiful leaf. A little bit splashy. And then there's a tiny new leaf coming as well, right over here. And on the other side, I have my Hoya Obobada variegata, which is this little baby, and I have two new leaves growing right now. So they're still kind of soft and like a different color, so it's still gonna get a little bit bigger, a little wonky, but you know, the variegated obovata leaves are never super round. They always come out a little deformed, but still very cute. It's still thriving in its pot where it's potted up together with two different obovatas, and because they're the same care, I don't think it's really any trouble for the plant. So that's why it's still doing well. My propagated piece also grew out a whole new leaf, so I'm really happy about that. They both have acclimated well to its new soil. Well, the propagated piece has acclimated well to soil. I didn't even really keep it in moss for too long just because the roots were just so extensive and grew so quickly. But yeah, the original plant is doing great as well. Next up, I have my Hoya Lacinosa silver eskimo. So this Hoya has aerial roots for days. As you can see, it's literally just everywhere, growing through every node, every piece of the plant, and just going absolutely nuts. So what I did here is I took a little snip right up here. So right here is where I cut it to propagate. And since then, a new little baby leaf has actually grown out. So this is going to be a new growth point just right beside where I originally chopped. It's kind of hard to see, but maybe you can see it, I don't know. And it also stimulated a new growth point to shoot out. So this one is a new stem. And yeah, there's like some tiny little leaves there, which is really cute. So very happy with this one. I love just like chopping my plants. I don't know, I just get very scissor happy, and I'm always propagating my plants, and it helps stimulate growth on the original plant. So it's like a win-win situation. You get to share plants with people and you get a faster growing plant yourself. So those are the two Hoyas I wanted to show you. Next up are all the aroids. So I'm sure you guys are excited. First one I'm going to talk about is my Anthurium. So my Anthurium, if you guys remember, has a lot of damaged leaves. This one was probably the best leaf out of all of them when I first bought it. Just has, you know, a couple holes, but for the most part, the leaf is still pretty much intact. This little baby is like half torn, essentially, but you know, it's also a little bit small. This one is the biggest leaf that the plant came with, but is pretty much really just messed up in all sorts of ways. But this one is the new leaf that has come out in my care, which is so beautiful. It's still a little bit soft, so it's not fully done hardening off or growing yet. So I'm hoping it'll get a little bit bigger just because it's a little small compared to the other leaves. But yeah, it's grown so nice. There's no browning. It's thriving in my greenhouse and just super happy. This is definitely one of the easier aroids. If you're trying to get into collecting Anthuriums, I would highly recommend this as the beginner one. I would say this one's probably easier than my crystallinum, to be honest, but they're both pretty good for beginners. So that's its new leaf. Next, I wanted to show you my Philodendron White Princess. So it's come out with 3 leaves since I've gotten it. So it originally only had like 3 or 4 very small baby leaves, and now it looks like this. Its most recent leaf is humongous, as you can see. It has a big white patch right there, so stunning. This one is kind of wonky, but still cute. And the one before that is this one. So it looks like the leaf size is getting bigger and bigger with each new leaf. And it's just such an easy philodendron. It's pretty much the same care as my pink princess, but I think this one needs a little bit less light to stimulate the variegation, because the pink princess needs a very bright and direct light in order to get some pink. Otherwise, it just looks like a burgundy princess, which nobody wants that. But that one is doing really well, my white princess. Even though it was such a small little plant, it was essentially a seedling when I bought it. I think it's growing up very nicely. Moving along, let's go with my Philodendron Melanochrysum. So this one is the top cutting that I took, and it's in some sphagnum moss right now. That beautiful leaf is still looking perfect as always. And yeah, the roots are starting to grow really well. As you can see right here, there's actually quite some healthy roots showing through the little clear plastic pot, and I can actually see a growth point. So right there, can you see? There's a little growth point. Yeah, the growth point looking good. And yeah, I can't wait for the new leaf to come out and how it's gonna look like, but it's probably gonna take some time since this is only the beginning of the growth tip showing. But with the parent plant, so this is the original Melanochrysum, and I have it staked up on a moss pole, which if you guys didn't watch my staking up and moss pole video, I show you guys this one, which I made the same one for my Thai constellation as well. And this one is also showing some new growth. So just right over here, there's a little tip that's sticking out. It might be a little bit hard to see, but it's starting, and I'm really happy with it. It hasn't caused me any issues. I've had this in my greenhouse with slightly higher humidity compared to my room. I would say probably in between like 65 to 80-ish, 90. So it's in my greenhouse, and I've hardly had to water this since I've repotted it, because the soil, even though it's well draining, it kind of retains, you don't have to water your plants as often when they're in the greenhouse. So that one has been really low maintenance for me. So those were all the happy plants, but I wanted to show you my Gloriosum. So remember how I cut up my Gloriosum into 3 separate plants? So 2 were in soil and 1 was in moss. So the one in moss, the leaf was already yellowing when I first initially put it into the moss, so I didn't really have high hopes. Plus the roots were also not super extensive, which is another reason why I put it into moss. So since then, the leaf has completely yellowed off, and I had to just chop it off. So this is where I chopped it. That was where the leaf originally was. And since then, I think there is a new growth point. So it's kind of hard to show you. Let me just take it out of the moss. There are some roots, not a whole lot of roots still, but there is a new growth point at that node. So the node right here is going to be a new leaf at some point. So roots are growing. It's not awful, but yeah, I'm pretty sure this is not going to be a root, and it's going to be a new leaf coming. So I'm quite hopeful. This node is still perfectly active, and the roots are not rotted, so I'm not too concerned with this one. I just probably will be keeping it in moss for the time being, and hope that that new leaf will come. So I try not to bury it completely, just so I can kind of still see the node and the little growth tip. So yeah, that's just how I keep it. And it's doing okay. It's in my greenhouse, and the other 2 Gloriosums have no change, so I didn't think I'd have to show you guys. But that pretty much concludes today's video. All the kind of growth updates I wanted to share with you guys and keep you guys updated with my plant journey. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Comment down below if you're having some trouble with propagating your plants. like I am with my Gloriosum, but I'm not too worried about it just because there is the activated node and a new leaf will be coming shortly, so I will definitely keep you guys updated.